Hello everybody and welcome to Virtual Sailor NG. Today I want to show you what I believe is one of the best cruise ships in the game. This is the MS Fram or Fram, available from Sim3D. And now, unlike some of the other Sim3D vessels and scenery that I have reviewed in this game, this ship I actually paid for myself, and also this expansion here to the Baltic Sea West scenery I also paid for myself. So this is a complete unsponsored, genuine review here. So the MS Fram is a real vessel. It's a cruise ship that goes up into the Arctic Circle, and it's modelled by Marius, also known as Axion Alias, who's the creator of some of my favourite ships for Virtual Sailor NG. So let's have a dive into it and see what it's got to offer. So first up, this is your primary bridge view, where you've got your little controls there for the ASI pods on the back. You've got your radars, you've got the usual stuff you expect, all nicely modelled, nice carpet texture, got your depth sounder there, you got the maps. The CCTV camera screens are obviously just a static element there, but yeah, all very nice. And then up here you've got your usual bits and pieces. You got your header, you got your wind speed, and you got the angle indicators for the ASI pods, which I will delve into in just a minute. In addition, you got your bridge wing positions. Again, you got your nice little level of detail here, good visibility, everything you'd want from a bridge wing. And here you got your main helm position for steering. Let's just take a quick walk around the bridge, because it's actually got some nice details in here. You got your layout plans on the back wall here. You got a nice sort of status board here, which shows what appears to be the opening and closed positions of various doors on the vessel. You got your coffee making facilities, which is very important when you're out at sea. And then you got a nice sort of navigator's position here, a radio operator, whatever you want, whatever admin needs to be done. Here's your facilities. But it's not just about the interior details though. This model also has some great exterior details. If you look at the detail here on the outside of the bridge, where you've got the walkway around it, you've got details over here like the builder's plaque, the ship's bell. You've got a nice view here along the outside walkways. You've also got these little details inside the windows here, just to give it a little bit of a depth perspective. If we go outside here, you can see how those details laid just inside the window there just give it the illusion that there's some interiors to these areas. You've got pretty nicely modelled lifeboats here, complete with the various davits and cables. And then up here on one of the upper decks, you've got what appears to be a hot tub, because at the end of the day, if you're sailing in the Arctic Circle, you probably want to sit in the hot tub while you're doing it. And again, just some interior detail here, just to give it a little sense of depth. As far as models and as far as details go, this is one of the best I've seen, really. I mean, those aft areas, and again you've got that interior detail there, just to give it a look like there's actually something in there rather than just a blank window. And if we switch to a night view here, you'll see it's also got some really great interior lighting, decorative lighting. Just makes the whole thing come alive. Just really nicely done. Really makes it look great. Now, one of the key things about this ship is that it has azipods, and unlike some other azipods you may have seen, these ones actually have the propeller on the front, and then they basically drive water back across this kind of thin rudder type section, and the controls for them don't necessarily work the way you think they would work. So if I just jump back into the wheelhouse here for a minute, so if you look here at the right azipod, when I apply my left hand key and I move the azipod, let's say 315 degrees, so you'll see it's moved here. So I've used the left key to move the azipod to the left, but when we go outside, you will notice that the azipod is in fact pointing 315 degrees, but that actually means the ship's going to turn to the right. So it's a little bit counterintuitive as regards normal rudder steering, that what you're actually turning left or right, if you follow me, is the actual azipod itself. Your left and right keys aren't determining which way the vessel's going to turn, it's determining which way the azipod's going to point. And remember, thrust is coming from the propeller backwards across this fin assembly, so what you're effectively doing is telling it what direction you want the aft end of the ship to go in, which can take some getting used to. I mean, if you really wanted it to be traditional steering, you could go into key mapping and swap your keys over so that you would actually press the right key to turn right, but up here it would still be pointing obviously in the direction that you're thrusting the back end. So again, if I do the same on the left azipod and I change it around to 270 there, or just as close as, I do 270 there, and I get rid of the anchor rope for a minute, and I apply a bit of power. You see, we should spin to the right because the thrust is going to push the back end. Basically, the back end is being pushed at a bearing of 270 degrees. So in hectic situations, when you suddenly realise you don't want to turn to the right anymore, you have to remember that you're actually having to turn your keys to the right to set the azipod back straight again. So that's something that can take a little bit getting used to with this vessel. You're effectively spinning the back end around in that direction, and the thrust is being applied across these rudders here. So yes, that's one of these things that can be a little bit confusing to people at the start, and they might think something's wrong with the controls because they're reversed, but that's just the way this particular sort of vessel works. The one thing I noticed that doesn't seem to work here is this these gauges here, and I'm not sure about this rate of turn here. And I think actually, if you look at that there, the rate of turn, it doesn't compare to down here where it's still on about 5 degrees per minute. That seems to be way off. So yes, there seems to be a slight anomaly there with this rate of turn indicator up here. Another thing I should point out with this vessel is that the left and right cursor keys don't give you traditional steering like you have in a normal vessel. There's no way to turn both azipods together. You basically have to make sure you control them independently. You can click on them here and turn them, but that's extremely fiddly to do with a mouse, and you probably end up getting in all sorts of trouble trying to do it that way. So it's easier to assign independent keys to the rotation of each azipod and also the thrust of each azipod. So obviously here, because I'm heading to the sea wall, I want to turn the azipods. So although instinctively I want to turn the ship to the left, I need to use my right key to turn the azipods to the right. So if I I've sort of turned them both to somewhere around 45 degrees. And that should start to push the back end around. Now, frame rate wise, I think this is quite heavy. Now I'm on quite a beefy machine here with a 3080 Ti, and I'm running the game in 4K, although you'll only see the recording at 1080p. And I'm getting 30 FPS on this at the moment. I don't think it's not necessarily the worst I've ever seen, I must admit, but I think just because of the level of detail here and it's quite high-res textures, I'd suggest that you probably need a fairly decent machine to run it. And this scenery that you're looking at here is an add-on to the Baltic Sea West scenery from again from Sim 3D. This is a paid scenery, and it just adds this extra port to the Baltic Sea West. If you already own that, then this is an add-on. Yeah, so all in all, MS Fram is an excellent ship for Virtual Sailor NG, and I think probably the best cruise ship you can get for it, with the highest level of detail, including the interiors. As I said, it's not necessarily the most easily accessible because of the way you have to use the independent azipods, but you know, for people who like that sort of extra level of immersion and extra detail, I think it's really great, and I'm really happy with it. I think it's a really good purchase.